Project Veritas is suing their founder, James O'Keefe, in order to try to shut him down. We talked a couple months ago about the Project Veritas, James O'Keefe drama. Shortly after Project Veritas and James O'Keefe, when they were together, shortly after they released their biggest video ever, their undercover sting of the Pfizer doctor who admitted that the vaccine, shortly thereafter, as this video was blowing up, Project Veritas announced that they had put James O'Keefe, their founder, on an indefinite leave of absence. I have no idea if it was paid or not. That's immaterial. And then following that, I think we were all very surprised to hear that. Following that, they fired him. They claimed that they didn't fire him, but then he said he didn't work there anymore. And the ultimate result of this was the separation of James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. And at the time, we were all so interested in it. And I did a whole episode talking about why this was so destructive for the conservative movement, why the best move for them was to figure this out. James O'Keefe has done an incredible amount has rendered incredible service to our country. I can't think of a journalist who has uncovered more corruption, provably, than James O'Keefe has. So the allegations against James O'Keefe at the time from the Project Veritas board was that he was difficult to work with. He cursed. He was hard on employees. He had an ego. He was, I don't know. They said he was a bad boss, and that may be true. I've known James for a long time. I've been friends with James for a long time. I can confirm that James demands a lot. He can be demanding. He's not an easy person to work for. He's not. And you can say, well, there's no excuse for that. And I can say, well, if James O'Keefe is going to expose Pfizer when nobody else in the country can even come close to getting that kind of information, I don't really care. I don't mean to sound callous about someone's behavior if it's less than kind. I obviously advocate to my friends, especially friends in the industry, especially friends in power, that they remember not to behave as egomaniacs, but to fire someone or to disassociate them because they're a diva. I mean, please, let's zoom out and remember to have perspective on what we're talking about here. If you didn't listen to that whole video or that whole episode on James O'Keefe and Project Veritas, go back on either Apple Podcasts or YouTube, look that up, listen to it. The update here is Project Veritas is now suing James O'Keefe for breach of contract, for breach of fiduciary duty, and their allegations. I want to go through a couple of these allegations and comment on them. So they're suing him over breach of contract. They said he violated confidentiality when it came to information that Project Veritas, like proprietary information of Project Veritas. They said that he breached fiduciary duty by forming the O'Keefe Media Group while he was still technically associated with Project Veritas. They say he behaved unprofessionally, that he targeted female employees with demeaning comments, that he failed to return donor lists and contact information, and he failed to return equipment. And what they're asking the court is they're seeking an injunction against O'Keefe, and they're seeking monetary damages from O'Keefe, and they're seeking a full jury trial in order to get this done. They say that O'Keefe had strained relationships with donors at Project Veritas. And I want to comment on all of this. I think it's very important to the conservative movement. It's very important to our country to untangle exactly what's happening here, who's in the right, who's in the wrong, and how we should be thinking about this. So I'd like to share with you how I think about this. My first reaction to this is, do the people that gave money, the donors to Project Veritas, do they want their money being spent to uncover corruption? Or do they want their money being spent suing James O'Keefe? Because the reason they gave money to Project Veritas in the first place is because James O'Keefe started an amazing organization that has exposed untold amounts of corruption in our government and in our corporate America, which is sometimes indistinguishable from government, certainly in the cases of Pfizer. Did the donors to Project Veritas want their money being spent to sue James O'Keefe because he failed to return some equipment? I can't speak for them, but I hardly think so. That's a bridge a little bit too far for me to believe that that's what they want their donations to be spent on. If Project Veritas wants to continue to be the Project Veritas that they have been the past 10 years, then they should not be suing their founder. Even if they believe he did wrong, even if he behaved unprofessionally, even if they didn't like that he formed an O'Keefe Media Group because he disagreed with members of the board on how to run Project Veritas, if they want to achieve the success that they have enjoyed the past decade, then you don't seek a full jury trial because you're mad at someone, because you dislike them, because he didn't agree with the board. And listen, I say all of this knowing that this whole thing is a hornet's nest. I'm friends with people who currently work at Project Veritas, people on the board of Project Veritas. I'm friends with James O'Keefe. I know what they all think of this whole thing. I understand that it's a hornet's nest and that a lot of people in the conservative movement don't want to wade into it because they're afraid of getting burned. They're afraid of certain people not liking what the comments are, not liking which side you take, and then you not having access to this information. I don't care about any of that drama. Sometimes you have to just understand that a situation is more important than the petty arguments that's happening. James O'Keefe and Project Veritas are going to become obsolete if they go to war with each other. Project Veritas is not going to be successful if they focus on this, if they sue James O'Keefe for breach of contract and breach of fiduciary duty. You had a chance to heal this divide with James O'Keefe and it didn't. So if you are actually committed to what you claim you are committed to doing, which is undercover journalism exposing corruption, then move on, move forward, do your thing, prove it to us. Don't drag this out. It's bad enough. I can tell you from talking to the American people who may not be the largest donors to Project Veritas, but who are the donors that sustain this organization through our small donations, these massive amount of small donations, people are worried. People wonder if Project Veritas is James O'Keefe. They worry that Project Veritas is not going to be Project Veritas without James O'Keefe. And if you do things like this, Project Veritas is unfortunately proving their point. There's a reason that this is happening. And this is I know that this is harsh analysis. I know some people aren't going to like this, but the reason that this is happening is because in a powerful industry or an industry that's dealing with people in power, egos become king. And the reason that this disagreement between James O'Keefe and the board, and there's right and there's wrong on both sides. I'm not saying that it's a perfect situation, but the reason that it's continuing instead of going the way that it should and being let go is because of egos. And so the people that are involved in this need to sit down. And again, some of these people are my friends. Some of these people on both sides are my friends. They need to sit down and they need to ask themselves, am I doing this because I think that this is in the best interest of America? Am I doing this because this is the best way that I can expose corruption? Am I doing this because this is being the best steward of the donor money? People like me and like the people watching this show who fear that our institutions are so captured by Marxists that we don't know how to fight back against it, that Project Veritas and James O'Keefe felt like our last hope, especially when they exposed places like Pfizer. Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.